Shalom everyone, and thank you for joining me in the study of Parashat Korach. Parashat Korach is a parasha that every time we read it, we have like a little sigh, like, oi, not again. Why would you do that? Why would you go against Moshe? What was exactly the claim? Why now? Why Korach? What are the reasons to do something like that against the leader of Am Yisrael that was chosen by God? What we will try to do today is to try to touch some of those questions and to create some kind of maybe an understanding, or at least at first glance to try to see what can we understand, especially from our perspective and how relevant it's going to be to our lives, and what can we learn from this story of Korach and Moshe Rabbeinu. So the Torah describes that Korach did the following. Vayikalu al Moshe ve'al Aaron, and all the people, all this congregation gathered against mamash like on top of Moshe and Aaron. Vayomru alehem, and they said to Aaron and Moshe, Rav lachem, it's too much for you. Ki chol ha'eda kulam kedoshim uvetocham Hashem. The entire congregation is holy, and God is in our midst, it's within us. Madua titnasu al kehal Hashem, and why do you elevate yourself? Why are you so pompous, so arrogant, and you think that you know it all, and you deserve all the positions, and you deserve everything? You are like us. Everyone is equal. Everyone is kadosh. Everyone is holy. Now, obviously, when we read this sentence, and we are not that naive, we all know it might be that everyone has a potential to be holy, and everyone is trying to be holy. But we all know that there are levels in society. Not everyone can be the same, and it would be boring if everyone is the same. We also know that every society needs somewhat of a leader, or someone that can lead them. So what does it mean? What exactly is the claim? That Moshe and Aaron should not be leaders and someone else should be a leader? Or we don't need any leaders because we are all holy and God is with us, so we don't need anyone else? What exactly is going on here? And especially in light of what we know, Moshe had to be convinced for 7 days to be the leader by God. Moshe was chosen to be the leader. Aaron was chosen. So what exactly is going on here? So that's one claim. So the first claim of Korach and his congregation is, we are all holy and therefore we don't need a leader, we need a different leader, or maybe we need a leader but not like you, Moshe and Aaron, you are too arrogant. Okay. Claim number one. First claim. Second claim. המעט כי ליטנו מארץ זבת חלב ודבש לעמיתנו במדבר כי תשתרר עלינו גם ישתרר. This is the claim from Datan and Aviram, two partners in crime, and they basically sent to Moshe a message says, we are not coming to be judged by you, we are not going to have any conversation with you. And why? You told us, you promised us that you will bring us to the land of Israel, and now we are going to be stuck in the desert for 40 years. According to that, by the way, we know that the story of Korach took place after the story of the spies, which we read last week. Which means the story of the spies basically created a situation that the Jewish people will die in the desert and only everyone who was 20 and under will be able to go to the land of Israel. So Datan and Aviram says to Moshe basically, you didn't deliver on your promises. What kind of a leader are you? We're not going to listen to you. You promised us, I'll bring you to the land of Israel. Eretz zavat chalav udvash, a land filled with milk and honey. At least they don't badmouth the land of Israel. And le'amitenu bamidbar, look at the contrast between a land filled with milk and honey and desert, which is filled with what? Dust. You're not a leader. You're not my leader. I'm not going to listen to you. So that's the second claim. So the first claim is, we don't need a leader, or maybe we don't need a leader like you. And then it's what? You are not a good leader. You promise, you don't deliver. So let's take a look. That's based on the narrative. What we saw now was the narrative itself. The narrative, in a way, presents two main claims. Now let's see how the Midrash, how our sages try to explain what was going on between Korach and Moshe. Vayikach. The parsha begins with the word Vayikach Korach, and Korach took. Now, Who did he take? So the Midrash begins with Shelekacho libo. His heart took him. What does that mean? It probably means that Korach didn't think. He was motivated by emotions, feelings. We will see in a few minutes what kind of emotions, feelings, and thoughts. But he didn't even stop for a minute to think cognitively. How can I say that? What's the basis for what I say? So he didn't look at his claims as logical claims, but they are emotions. He was overwhelmed by emotions, not necessarily positive emotions. We will talk about that in a few minutes. So then the Midrash quotes a pasuk, a verse from Tehillim, from Psalms Nun Hey 55, says, Ki lo oyev yecharfeni, ve'esa lo mesan'i alai igdil, ve'esater mimeno. King David also had few enemies. And he says, my worst enemies are not my known enemies, but rather is someone that I thought was a friend. Someone that I thought that was someone that I even close to. דואג ואחיתופל, שהיו מחרפים אותו, לא היו שונאי והיו מחרפין אותי, ולא קוראים אותי בשמי, אלא מדוע לא בא בן ישי, ראיתי את בן ישי, נראיתי בן לישי, הוי כי לא אויב וחרפני ואשא, ואתה אנוש כערכי אלופי ומיודעי. שהיה אדם גדול בתורה ומיודעי, שהיה נושא ונותן בהלכה, אשר יחדיו נמתיק סוד מהו בבית אלוקים נלך ברגש, כדתנן, הפר היה קרב בכ"ד כדי שיהיה הרוגש מרגיש שנאמר בבית אלוקים נלך ברגש. This is a very interesting midrash, but I will need to give some kind of an introduction. David HaMelech obviously had many enemies. He fought against a lot of people. But he had two close friends in his cabinet, Doeg and Achitophel. These two people, who David thought are his friends, were probably one of his worst enemies. And the problem with hidden enemies is that you don't know that they are your enemies, so you don't really try to protect yourself. You trust them, you tell them, you share with them. And then whatever you do, whatever you share with them, they use against you. You think that you are friends and there is mutual respect, but they don't respect you. They don't believe in you. David saw that Doeg and Achitophel, based on the experience he had with them, was that really Doeg wanted to kill David as well as Achitophel. When David HaMelech had to leave the country because of Avshalom, because of his son who chased him, Achitophel gave an advice to Avshalom that if Avshalom would follow that advice, David will be dead. And they will always disrespect him. They will not call him by his name. They will call him Ben Ishai, the son of Ishai, which means when you cannot even pronounce someone's names, you really hate him. So David HaMelech basically says, look, the worst enemies are the people you think are your friends. And not only that, Doeg and Achitophel were scholars, were people who learned Torah, were people who knew halacha, but they disregard all of it because of their hate. Now, pause here. That's enough for the introduction. The Midrash is creating a connection between David and his enemies, Doeg and Achitophel, and Korach versus Moshe. What's the idea here? What's the connection? It's very simple. Korach is from the same family, like Moshe, from the tribe of Levi. They are cousins, in a way. And therefore, as cousins, as family, you trust them, that they will be your supporters. They will be the ones who got your back. But instead, Korach stabbed Moshe in his back. Basically, the Midrash wants to illustrate or to explain to us how come Moshe didn't see it. How come Moshe was so oblivious, in a way, to what's going on within the nation. And in a way, the Midrash explains this by, Moshe saw Korach probably every other day, whatever, said hello, how are you, what's going on, send regards to your parents, never ever crossed his mind that Korach is conspiring this thing. But Korach was overwhelmed by emotions. What kind of emotions? Probably emotions of jealousy and envy. But Moshe did not detect it. Moshe did not know. And that's the worst enemy. Korach, in a way, because he was Moshe's family, he had credibility. If Korach is saying something like that regarding a family member, so that we are not from the same tribe, we are not from the same family, obviously we can join him and say whatever we want about Moshe. In a way, what Korach did, he in a way took advantage on the fact that he and Moshe were relatives, and he used it against Moshe. So that's how the Midrash begins his understanding of the backstage, I will call it, of the story of Korach and Moshe. And then he says, Yasim mavet aleimo, that's the continuation of the pasuk, that God should place some kind of death on them. Amar Ablazar, atzat minut aya bahen, lema hayu domin? לבית שהוא מלא תבן, והיה בבית חורין, והיה התבן נכנס, והיה בבית חורין, והיה התבן נכנס בהם. לאחר ימים התחיל אותו התבן שהיה בתוך אותן החורין יוצא. ידוע כל כי היה אותו הבית של תבן. כך דואג ואחיתופל לא היו בהן מצוות מתחילה, מצות מתחילה, אף על פי שנעשו בני תורה, היו כתחילתן הווי, כי רעות במגורם בקרבם. This is a second point of connection. Doeg and Achitophel, as I mentioned before, were David's enemies, were Torah scholars. However, their Torah that they learned and studied did not influence their inner personality. The Torah that they studied was probably intellectual, cognitive, but did not really influence their attributes, their midot, the way they act, the way they talk. Perhaps even exactly the opposite. They thought that because they are Torah scholars, they can say whatever they want. This is the same thing with Korach. Korach was from the family of Kehat, one of the branches of the tribe of Levi. They were given, the children of Kehat were given the highest level of service in the tabernacle after the Kohanim. They carried the holy vessels. So you would think that such a high holy position would influence who they are. That's like the additional explanation of how come Moshe didn't see it coming. First, it's a family member. Second, he thought that, like himself, more you elevated yourself spiritually, you will be more gentle, you will be a nicer person, you will be a kinder person, you will have less envy and jealousy and hate and animosity. So when he saw Korach and his family being elevated, he thought, okay, they are like me, they are nice, they are great. He did not understand that how come that Korach, who was so close to holiness and spirituality, would be totally controlled by emotions and envy and animosity. And that's what the Midrash is basically saying. Basically, the Midrash says, look at Korach. And this is an incredible lesson. The fact that he is family, or the fact that he is so quote-unquote spiritual and on a high level of spirituality, does not mean he's a good person. And that's what it means, Vayikach Korach, according to the second opinion in the Midrash. And then there is a third opinion. Davar acher medaber b'Moshe. So now the Midrash clearly takes this pasuk in Tehillim and applies it on Moshe. And he says, medaber b'Moshe, ki lo oyev ela Korach, shu misheli yecharfeni. Here is our interpretation. Moshe looks at Korach and says, I can't believe it. He's mine. He's from my family. In a way we are connected also with blood. And he is the one who goes against me. אשר יחדיו דמתיק סוד אהרון וקורח שניהם שווים. בבית אלוקים נלך ברגש זה שוחט והוא מקריב וזה זורק את הדם. He says even Aharon, my brother, and Korach are basically almost the same. Aharon slaughtered the animal, these guys sprinkle the blood, this one take the korban out, which means they share it. ישים מוות עליהם שהביא את המיטה עליו וירדו הם וכל אשר להם חיים שאולה. So as a result of what they did, in a way Moshe prayed for their death, and that's what happened, that the land opened up its mouth and they were swallowed. The third opinion in the Midrash adds another layer to what was going on between Moshe and Korach. It might be that we have some kind of, if we will leave the jealousy and the envy out for a second, we might come up with an interesting approach, which is Moshe looks at Korach, he looks at Aharon, he looks at each one of us and he says each one of us has something to contribute to the goal of bringing God down to us and us being elevated towards God, to basically create more points of connection between spirituality and the mundane, between Kodesh and Chol. So I don't really care if you are a Kohen, a Levi, Israel, you all have something to contribute. Now, even more so, if you are the chosen tribe of Levi, and from that chosen tribe there is another chosen group which called Kohanim, the priests. So this is the tribe that was chosen to lead spirituality. So each one of you, I don't care if you are the Kohen Gadol or you are just a Levi who sings songs. You all do something for the sake of holiness and spirituality. And therefore, we should all walk together. We should all walk together towards the same goal. So who cares if I'm the high priest who goes into the Holy of the Holiest on Yom Kippur, or I'm just a Levi who open up the gates and sing some songs, or the one who carries something out. That's Moshe's perspective. Korach's perspective is very different. I want to be the leader. I want to be the high priest. I want to be the person. I don't want to be just one off, and I don't see it like that. I want to be the head guy. First and foremost, when you want it, it's probably you are not worthy of it. But it's more than that. Korach lacked the understanding that everyone has something to contribute. Even though he claimed Kulam Kedoshim, everyone is holy, he's the one who goes against Moshe. In addition, when you have feelings of jealousy and being so envy of Moshe, obviously you will spread rumors and you will accuse Moshe of things he didn't do. And we will see that in a few minutes. So the Midrash is in a way suggesting to us three different options of what motivated Korach and how come Moshe didn't see it. Because this is like a simple question. How come Moshe didn't see that it's boiling? So you can say Moshe was very detached, but it's not true. Moshe was with the people. How come he didn't see it coming? And the Midrash is answering it by A, Korach was family, B, Korach was a righteous person, or at least seemingly he was righteous. And Moshe thought that he's like him. You know, like Moshe said later on, Mi iten ve'aya kol am Hashem nevi'im, ki iten Hashem et rucho aleim. From my perspective, everyone can be a prophet. I don't have any problem with that. But Korach did. So that's one perspective of the Midrash. Now let's see another perspective. our sages in Midrash Bamidbar Rabbah says the following. על ידי מה נחלק? The Midrash is asking a very direct question. As we say here in Israel, dugri, like mamash, a very direct question. What was the issue? What really ignited Korach to go on a crusade against Moshe Rabbeinu? What was this little fire in him that got him so upset? So take a look what the Midrash says. It's such a sad Midrash, but let's read it. על ידי אליצפן בן אחי אביו, שנעשה נשיא על משפחתו, ונשיא בית אב למשפחות הקהתי, אליצפן בן עוזיאל. If you read the narrative, there is a person that we don't know too much about him. His name is Elitzaphan ben Uziel. He became the president of the tribe of Levi. Okay, what does that mean? Maybe he was the one to give the rules and the appointments of when each family will do whatever they do. Okay, we really don't know much about Elitzaphan. But Korach, for him, just don't mention the name of Elitzaphan next to Korach. Why? אמר Korach, says Korach, 4 אחים היו אחי אבא. ובני קהת, עמרם, יצהר, חברון ועוזיאל. The head of the tribe, Levi, Jacob's son, he had 4 children, Amram, Yitzhar, Hebron, and Uziel. Amram הבכור, Amram was the firstborn. Therefore, זכה אהרון בנו לגדולה, ומשה למלכות. Okay, so Amram is the firstborn. According to the Torah, the firstborn get double portion. So, okay, I agree. That's fine, says Korach. Aaron should be the priest, Moshe should be the leader. Fine with me. מי ראוי ליטול את השנייה, לא השני? So who should get third in command? The second child. Who is the second child? Yitzhar. And בני קהת, עמרם ויצהר, אני בנו של יצהר. הייתי ראוי להיות נשיא על משפחות, והוא עשה בנו של עוזיאל, קטן של אחי אבא. יהי גדול עליי. So Korach says, I don't understand. Take a look. Amram, Yitzhar, Hebron, Uziel. Amram is the firstborn. Okay, so Moshe and Aaron came from Amram. They should get double portion. Priesthood and kingship. Not a problem with me, says Korach. I'm okay with it. Who is next in line? Yitzhar. Yitzhar is my father. Korach ben Yitzhar. So therefore, I should be whatever the title for the third position, which is the president of the tribe of Levi. Should be whom? Me, Korach. Instead, Moshe did not even consider me. He appointed Elitzaphan. Who was Elitzaphan? He was the son of Uziel. Who was Uziel? He was the youngest son of all the brothers. Amram, Yitzhar, Hebron, Uziel. He was the 4th one. Why should he, meaning his son, get any honors? It should be me. הרי אני חולק עליו ומבטל כל מה שנעשה על ידו לכך ויקח קורח. Unbelievable. Korach agreed that Aaron should be the priest. He agreed that Moshe should be the king, not a problem. He disagreed with Moshe regarding Elitzaphan ben Uziel, this position of being the president of the tribe of Levi, which we still don't really fully understand what does it mean. But Korach, for him, it meant everything. It meant the world for him. It meant that Moshe is totally incorrect. He created an avla, and something that was unjust, and something that is totally wrong. And therefore, I am going to fight him for everything. I'm going to destroy everything. Look at this midrash. I purposely put for you 4 different points that you can see in this midrash. A, entitlement, which basically is being defined as belief that one is deserving of or entitled to a certain privileges. Meaning Korach says, obviously, I'm the second son for the second father, which means I'm the son of Yitzhar. I should deserve it. Korach never went to Moshe to ask, Moshe, I'm amazed, I'm puzzled, I'm stunned. How come that Elitzaphan was chosen and not me? I understand with you and Aharon, you are the children of the firstborn, but what about me? Like, can you tell me about Elitzaphan? What kind of qualities does he have? Maybe I should work on something. Nothing. Entitlement. I deserve it. Why? Because I'm second in command. I'm second in line. As you know, entitlement does not work in Judaism. When we read Sefer Bereshit year after year, we see the same thing. The people who thought that they are entitled to be the leaders were rejected, pushed away, or at the end understood that it's not for them. But Korach comes with this idea of entitlement. The second is victimization, feeling oppressed. Korach plays the victim. I'm the victim here. You, the people of Israel, you are the victim. You are the victim of whom? You are the victim of Moshe's random decisions. It makes no sense what he says. And therefore, we are the victims. We are the oppressed. Third, Korach, thought that victimization is a virtue. But rather we say, no, it's a condition. Which means Korach wanted to use this card of, I'm a victim, to get his way. Judaism never believed in being a victim. We were victims many times, but we never played that card. We understood that whatever happened to us, we need to stand up, overcome it, and try to rebuild. Korach, you feel that you are a victim? You feel that you deserve what Elitzaphan received? Work on yourself. Get better. Improve yourself. Talk to Moshe. Get a mentor. Do something. Don't build your life on the misery that you feel, that you experience. And the last thing that we learn from this Midrash is lack of true communication. Korach didn't want to hear what Moshe had to say. It might be too painful for him. Maybe Moshe will tell him, look, Korach, you are a great guy, but Elitzaphan ben Uziel, he is an incredible person. He has, talent A or talent B, and you don't have it. Korach didn't want to learn. Korach did not want to improve himself. And it all basically results from this idea of entitlement. When you feel that you are entitled to get something, you don't listen. You don't ask questions why someone else deserves it more than you. You just assume that you need to get it. That's Vayikach Korach. So now, let's see this Talmudic paragraph that can teach us a lot about everything we spoke about until now. Amar Rabbi Abba Amar Shmuel. So Rabbi Abba says in the name of Shmuel, 3 שנים נחלקו בית שמאי ובית הלל, הללו אומרים הלכה כמותנו והללו אומרים הלכה כמותנו. For 3 years, the students of Shammai and Hillel, which we call them Beit Shammai, the house of Shammai and the house of Hillel, were debating. And the debate was serious, meaningful, something that can influence generations. How do we define the halakha, the Jewish law? Based on Shammai or based on Hillel? And it was hard to decide because each one of them were smart and talented and capable. So they couldn't decide. יצאה בת קול ואמרה, אלו ואלו דברי אלוקים חיים הם. So a heavenly voice came from Shammai, from heaven, and says, Bet Shammai, whatever you said, it's really the words of God. Bet Hillel, whatever you said, are the words of God. Okay, so how does that help me? V'halacha ke Bet Hillel. But the law, the psak, the Jewish law, accords with Bet Hillel. Well, 1 second. If what Shammai says are the words of God, and what Hillel said are the words of God, so why halacha ke Bet Hillel? And that's exactly the question of the Talmud. וכי מאחר שאלו ואלו דברי אלוקים חיים, מפני מה זכו בית הלל לקבוע הלכה כמותן. So if you tell me that both opinions, Shammai and Hillel, both of their statements and sayings and halachot are true, are really what God meant to say. So why do you say that the halacha is like Beit Hillel? Listen to that. מפני שנוחין ועלובין היו, ושונים דבריהם ודברי בית שמאי. Because of, first, three main reasons. First, nochim. What does that mean? Beit Hillel were more gentle. The students of Hillel were gentle. They were more relaxed. But I would say probably more gentle. Ve'aluvin, which means if they were accused in something or someone insulted them, they did not insult back, which means they were probably modest. And also, they will repeat whatever Shammai says, which means Beit Hillel, they not only said their opinion, they also repeated the opposing opinion. And not that only, ולא עוד, אלא שמקדימים דברי בית שמאי לדבריהם. Whenever you open up a Mishnah, a Tanaic source, you will see if there is a machloket, there is a debate between Shammai and Hillel, it says Shammai, and only after that Hillel. Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel, which means not only that Beit Hillel will acknowledge what Beit Shammai says, what the house of Shammai says, but they will write them first, and only after that they will say whatever they want to say. This Talmudic paragraph, I think, needs to be learned and studied in every class about communication. First, it might be that someone else is smarter than you. It might be that someone else is not that smart. But you, if you really want to participate in a debate or try to make a statement, the first thing you need to do is not to talk, is to listen. Only after you listen, and you listen in a humble way, not with already an agenda. You know, sometimes you can see in a class, someone talks and the other one wants to talk and he raises his hand, or he or she raised their hand. They don't really listen to the other person. They already have something in mind to say. And it might be that he's going to repeat exactly what this person says, or he's going to say something that if he would listen to this person, he would not ask, but he didn't, or they didn't listen. You need to come to a discussion with some kind of humility that I'm here, yes, I'm here to say my opinion, but you know what? My opinion is not the only opinion. And you need to have a lot of humility and gentleness in order to do so. So that's A. B, you need to repeat what the other person says, which will reflect that A, you listened, and B, it will reflect if you fully understood what he or she said. And then the highest level is that when you make your statement, you first begin with whom? With the opposing statement. And think about it. If I present the opposing statement and I say, look, my colleague, my friend said A, and you repeat it, or you repeat the outcome of what he said, first you give him or her the opportunity to say, Rega, stop, that's not what I said. But if they don't, which means you really understood them, and then you said, but my opinion is, what kind of a lesson, what kind of a message do you convey? I heard you, I understood you, I will debate it because of this opinion. But what do you create? You create an environment of, I heard you, I appreciate what you said, I respect it, I might even say, look, and based on what you said, my opinion says B. It means that I reflected on what you said and then I formed my opinion. This is true communication. This is true listening. This is true talking. Talking is not only about what you have to say. It's about what the other says, what he said, what she said, how you take it into heart, how you understand it, how you digest it, how you analyze it, and then you say your opinion. And this is why halacha ke Beit Hillel. You cannot find here that halacha ke Beit Hillel because they were smarter. By the way, exactly the opposite. The Talmud says that Beit Shammai were charifim yoter, they were sharper. But it doesn't mean that halacha is like them. In order to create a conversation, just imagine if Korach would go to Moshe and ask him, Moshe, I have some questions to you. I don't understand what's going on here. I don't come with any entitlement. I just want to understand how come you skipped me? How come Elitzaphan became the president? Or even more than that, that would be a higher expectation that Korach will not even feel those feelings. But let's say he will. Go to Moshe and talk to him. There are no conversations. That obviously brings us to the beginning of the no conversation. Yosef and his brothers. How much pain, misery, affliction, tribulations, sorrow we could avoid if we will talk to each other. Not on each other, not above each other, not through each other, but talk really to each other. Parashat Korach always is being mentioned, oh, there are always fights among Am Yisrael, it will always was and it will always be. It's not true. History should not repeat itself if we would listen to the story. If we would listen to the story, we will understand that we are not entitled for anything. We should work for what we think we deserve. We should listen to what others has to say. Internalize it, understand it, repeat it, and then say our opinion. And if everyone will behave like that, if everyone will really adopt that approach, just imagine what kind of a bright future we will all have. Thank you.